Foose wheels are stupidly popular, and I don't know why. Foose wheels are for people who do $6,000 in modifications to their Camaro and never change the oil. Foose wheels are for people who are trying to impress the memory of a person who wronged them. You were fired 6 years ago. You're not sticking it to your old boss by slapping aftermarket chrome on a WRX with neon underglow. Foose wheels are for people who call themselves influencers and then all their comments are bots. Let me put it this way so everybody can understand. I hate foose wheels. I hated them then, I hate them now. The chrome ages like garbage and the polished aluminum looks like a pinwheel for guys who think 93 octane is a Mario star. You show me someone riding on foose wheels and I'll show you a man with an empty bed and a closet full of Ed Hardy shirts. I see a car riding on 22 fooses and I know there's a vape shop that hates to see them coming. How does a wheel look like it's going to cut me off mid-sentence? How does a wheel...
We can rant if we want to. We can send our best regards, because your friends don't rant, and if they don't rant, then they're not into cars.
How does a wheel look like it's about to mansplain stuff to me? How does a wheel communicate to me that you're the type of person who goes up to the gate agent at an airport when your plane is late to complain? I'm sick of having to see these plastered over every Instagram page, even superficially related to cars. I hate foose wheels, but here's the thing. That doesn't necessarily make it Chip's fault. Maybe Chip has a direct influence on these wheels, I don't know. But I don't believe he's actually there signing off on every single design, because I'm not sure when he's supposed to have the time. So, history time, but the shortest one ever. Chip Foose is a legendary designer of hot rods who's been designing them since he was a literal child. He dropped out of college due to finances, and then got some design gigs until he could pay the rest of his way through the school. After working at Hot Rods by Boyd, he left to start his own company with his wife, and by 2000, Foose partnered with Wheels Pro to start making his own line of wheels. 4 years later, he's a reality star, hosting the TV show Overhaulin'. That's who Chip Foose is. And I'm sure he's had a very interesting life that's worth its own video. I don't harbor any ill will toward the man himself. From what little I do know about Chip Foose, he seems like an alright guy. If nothing else, he bet on himself and he succeeded. And everybody loves a winner, right? But the problem with America is how we often confuse success with quality. And when we confuse success with quality, we allow ourselves to be influenced by the wrong things. And that's why I hate foose wheels. Not because of how they look, but because of what they represent. Foose wheels were part of an era of excess and fake luxury that placed appearances ahead of function. Now, I love the design of 04 Rich. It's incredibly nostalgic to me. But these big, stupid wheels on tires thinner than a stepfather's patience and enough chrome to get the war boys bricked up, nah, not a fan. Sure, live your life. But you better pray that there are no potholes in your future, or those big metal plates they put on the road when they don't have time or funding to fill the pothole yet. Because all it takes is one pothole. And there goes that $1,300 wheel. Oh yeah, did I mention these were $1,300? All for a rim that looks like a starfish had a baby with Johnny Five. And that brings me back to the issue that I have with foose wheels, because again, it's all about appearances. Having those big wheels and those stretched tires that can't accommodate them, people are sacrificing durability and performance at the altar of fashion. And I could understand if it were teenagers. I could get with it if it was college students. Lord knows I did some disgusting stuff to my second-gen Neon. I painted the wheel covers black because I was too poor for rally wheels. I had the Knight Rider scanner light in front of the car. It was a horrendous mess that only a 19-year-old could make. But foose wheels are popular up and down the age range. And why I'm not here to police how actual adults live their life, I'd be lying if I said I understood this choice. Why this? Why these wheels? Is it really just that they look nice? Or do they complement your build in some other way? I really do want to know. I want to learn. I'm opening up to hearing people out. Anyway, before reaction videos, we had TV shows where the whole purpose was to give a makeover to a house, a person, a car, and keep viewers watching with the promise of a big reveal at the end, and the reactions of the volunteer and their loved ones all tied together with incidental music and dramatic before and after split-screen demonstrations. Lot of additive dissolves. Lots of alpha glow. Can't forget the lens flares. These wheels feel like the end product of a generation that was raised on these shows, where the goal was less about creating something sustainable and more about getting a reaction. You can't tell me any of those cars on Pimp My Ride actually worked, and if they did, I refuse to believe they lasted for long. Because those weren't sustainable builds, and I don't buy that they were ever intended to be. And hey, that was the show. Take a beater, give it a makeover, and send the subject home with a car that looks cool but is more broken than when they brought it in. Now, Chip seems to be better at this than West Coast Customs, because when I remember watching Overhaul, and it looks like they're actually fixing the car or completing the build for the owner. They're not there putting an aquarium or mixing booth in the truck. A recent episode I watched on YouTube, he took a guy's 8th gen Suburban and gave it a new engine, transmission, shocks, repainted it, reupholstered the seats, and then threw in some modern technology upgrades for the 2000s. He basically just modernized the car. The guy liked basketball, but it's not like Chip and his crew added a pull-out cord or anything. Just new speakers and some screens on the seat backs, typical stuff for the 2000s. But somehow, even after adding basketball trim to the seats, those Foose wheels were still the tackiest looking thing on the build. Because they threw off the whole vibe. The vibe was ruined because these wheels ruin everything they touch. But at least in the case of that Suburban, they were added by Chip Foose himself. But what's everybody else's excuse? Too many people will take these wheels and just put them on anything, with no regard for proportion or visual harmony. It's the automotive equivalent of a peanut butter and eviction notice sandwich. Foose wheels are what happen when people think taste is oriented by price. Foose wheels came into prominence just as American tuner culture was really taking off, with the switch to OBD2 in 1996, making it easier to flash your ECU. And this was crystallized in pop culture with stuff like the first Fast and the Furious, Initial D, Gran Turismo, and Super Street Magazine. American tuner culture arguably hit the mainstream in the mid to late 90s and then took off in the 2000s. And I think that trend kicking off helped Foose to grab a lasting foothold in the aftermarket because, for better or worse, the designs were bold and reinforced some of the bolder design choices of those tuner builds. If your build is going to be comically loud and outrageously expensive, then you want your wheels to be that way too. But a lot of times you have a better chance of seeing a video on the hub with no swear words on it than you do seeing a set of Foose wheels that look like they belong on a car that's wearing them. And look, maybe Chip Foose doesn't personally sign off on every wheel design, but I'm not sure he even has to. It's going to bear his name anyway. And the name Foose carries as much load as the designs themselves. Because if it didn't, why on earth would this company still be in business? Why would you possibly buy these wheels and not any of 100 other aftermarket wheels that look better, work better, and cost less, if not for the name Foose? But what's crazy is that these would probably look good on the types of cars for which Foose is best known. And those hot rods, especially the pre-war ones, they're fine. Why do we have to ruin Japanese imports with Foose wheels? Oh cool, you just finished a second shift at the asphalt and unpaid alimony warehouse, and now you're on eBay Motors to see if anybody is selling off their Fooses. Because you have tires that are balding faster than a vice principal on beta blockers. You have the right to spend your hard-earned money on whatever you want, but Jesus. The struggle. These struggle to look good on Mustangs. Any generation, and that's saying something. These wheels are just so loud. Foose wheels are for the people whose allergies include pollen, bitches, and subtlety. And yet, despite not being all that good, these wheels also represent a kind of automotive gentrification, where car culture becomes less about the experience of driving and more about cosmetics. Now, you could argue that this is what car culture has always been about. Everybody wants their car to look good, and if it costs a lot, you want it to look like it cost a lot. But the difference between typical car culture and automotive gentrification is, what do you do with the build once it's done? Is it a functional build or is it purely cosmetic? Is this to drive or is this to be parked in front of a lawn chair at a car show waiting to accept a bunch of attaboys or bleh, bleh. Parking in front of my car with my foose wheels on it. Here come my friends. Blah, 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 blah. Is it going on the road or being polished for a resale? Both uses are valid, of course. Plenty of enthusiasts flip cars, myself included, but these wheels feel more representative of the former than the latter. Every boomer build resto mod in a temperature-controlled garage in Dallas-Fort Worth has foose wheels, and they're worse for the experience. You think they would make your car look like it's going to Mecum auctions, but what it's really doing is making your car look like it's going to SEMA in 2015. Wheels that are more at home in one of those tax shelter auto museums with all the other mall crawlers and parking lot princesses that never touched a single trail or neglected highway. They're an overpriced fountain pen that cosigns for fragile masculinity. Foose wheels are for guys who would sooner see their wife thrown into oncoming traffic than admit that they've ever had locker room curiosities. And what makes my urethra burn about this is that appearance is probably the least interesting part about aftermarket wheels in the first place. There are so many things you can do with the right wheel setup. You can improve your car's handling through weight reduction, with wheels that are lighter than stock. Or if you plan on running a larger brake kit, the right wheels will give you more room without sacrificing those weight reduction benefits. You want bigger tires with better grip? You find wheels to accommodate them, not the other way around. People act like this boxes them in, but you still have a lot of flexibility, whether you're lowering your car, lifting your car, or stancing your car. The wheels are vital to what makes those builds function, and not because of their appearance, but because of their composition. The wheels themselves are accents to the function of the car, not distractions from the car's lack of meaningful function. Okay, you know what? I'll say this as a compromise. Obsession with appearance is fine. I can't really judge. But appearance has to be backed up by research. Find cool looking wheels, yes, but do your research to make sure you aren't putting wheels that are too big with tires that are too small and just tearing at the sidewalls and ruining the beads. Also, you can look badass to people who call their wives the old ball and chain. If you like foose wheels, fine. But in my opinion, foose wheels are the Starbucks of the aftermarket community. They're overpriced like Starbucks, and they're more about appearance than taste. But despite being expensive, it feels like they're on every corner. Maybe it makes more sense to say these wheels are the pumpkin spice latte of the aftermarket, because they're so basic they might as well come free with a Firestone credit card. And if you told me you could get these wheels free with every order of a triple dipper from Chili's, I'd believe you. Aftermarket wheels can be a nice way to continue pursuing further customization after a project build is finished. Not that any build can ever truly be finished. Builds are an art, and art is inherently incapable of true completion. You get it to a place you're happy with, but there are always things you could have done better. Things you could still do better. Aftermarket wheels are the easiest meaningful change that you can make, yet it's easy to go overboard. Constant swapping, constant upgrading, but is it really upgrading? Or just change for change's own sake? New wheels can be a great benefit for your car just as long as the aesthetic isn't the only consideration for the wheel you ultimately choose. But even if it is, you can do a lot better than foose. Hello, you've reached the end of the video. I'm proud of you. If you come this far, I know you want to go farther. RCR's Patreon has tons of more content and all the stuff that I can't get away with on YouTube anymore. It's fun, it's bawdy, and it's extra dirty. And for $1, you get all of it. That's it. Less than the cost of a Costco hot dog. $1, you get double the content. And you know what else? If everybody who watched this video joined our Patreon, RCR would be unstoppable. There's no telling what we could do with your support. So please, go to the Patreon, join it. It's only $1. Thank you so much, and thank you for liking Regular Car Reviews.